welcome to the Church Brain Guide podcast. My name is Michael Persad.
My name is Dennis Esteban.
In our episode today, we are taking a look at church websites. This is a really big topic. It affects every church out there. So in this episode, we hope to provide a ton of value to help you decide if you have a great website or if you need a new one. Dennis, why don't you take a moment and let us know a little bit about WordPress-based website. That's one of the things that you and I kind of found that we have in common is that we've, over the years, kind of gravitated towards building websites using WordPress. What are your thoughts about websites?
Yeah, so for me, WordPress always, I used to not be a big fan of WordPress, right? So when I first started off, I tried to convince all of my clients to use something like Squarespace, use something like Wix. I even went to things like Webflow, and I've tried it all, right? I swam in every sea. But more recently, really these past 2 years, I've really made the transition into WordPress, right? And I think the reason why I held off for so long was just because I didn't understand it, right? And if you don't know, WordPress is a website builder, but it's really an open source platform, meaning that you can plug anything into it. And you can make it work for you. Specifically on WordPress, I use something called the Divi Builder. And it's similar to the drag and drop style that everybody likes. But I just find that it's flexible and there's a lot that you can do with it. And you're not limited to any certain template or style or anything like that.
Yeah, so before we go deeper, WordPress websites or just websites in general tend to be very daunting for, people in the church world. Like you said, if you're not used to websites or the website world, it's kind of a scary arena to get into. And I think what I found too, basically what you said is that over the years, there's a lot of different website builders. Some of them, they're, the main thing that they do is they try to make websites easy to update, those type of things. But then what you find is that you get into limitations, where in the future, like you want to do some things and all of a sudden, like you realize because I'm using a certain platform, I don't have the ability to do what I want to do. So what I've found is in my experience is that WordPress is limitless. But you have to kind of put the right pieces together. And because I do this all the time, I kind of came across Divi Builder as well. And again, this was a funny conversation that I had with Dennis not too long ago, just talking about, hey, how do you build websites with your company? We both own, agencies that help churches to produce media. And I was like, well, I use WordPress and I like Divi. And he's like, well, I like WordPress and I use Divi as well. So from two different directions, we kind of came to the same conclusions, and we're going to unpack what Divi Builder is and help to make this a little bit more simple for you. The hope is that you will be able to have something, a website platform that's going to serve your church really well into the future, like
That's
for
right.
many, many years, because you have the power that you need.
That's so good. And I think you hit it on the money there. It's into the future, right? We're not trying to look for a quick fix for now, but we're actually looking at something that can sustain us, something that can actually help move the needle forward for the long run, right? And I think when you look at all builders, I think one of the greatest things is that Divi Builder. I know my favorite thing about that Divi Builder was, again, it was similar to that drag and drop feel that I liked with sites like Wix and all those different type of sites, but it still had the power behind it through WordPress. One other bonus that I loved is on those other platforms, I was paying, monthly subscriptions. On Wix for one of my websites, I was paying about $40 a month or something like that, right? Because you have to pay those websites for their hosting, right? But I just remembered when I made the transition over to Divi, all I did was I got my own kind of hosting server, and I paid a one-time fee, and now I can host unlimited sites and have unlimited emails. So I say that to say, once you move into this world of WordPress, you open up a bunch more time and money saving opportunities. for your ministry. So that's my favorite thing about the Divi Builder and WordPress. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I come from a design background, so my training, my college education and all that stuff is in design. So I value design, above all else. Um, so one of the things I love about Divi is that I can design whatever needs to be designed. I can create something that's beautiful, that really represents the brand well. So we go through a whole, in our process when we work with a church to create a brand or to rebrand a church, we go through a strategy system, a process. It's a framework that we have. And in that framework, we unpack the DNA of the church. And then what I get to do because of WordPress, because of Divi and the simplicity that it makes, I get to design the experience that is just right, for the church. The right colors, the right, even like animations, the right features, like that's important. Like if your church is saying, hey, we want to be a welcoming church, and that's part of your brand, like we welcome new people at our church, maybe we create a visit page, and on that visit page, it unpacks all the basics you would need to know about the church to come and visit the church. Maybe it even has a video on that page that gives a virtual tool, like a walkthrough of the first time experience. So I can dream that up and I can do it. Like there's no limits. I can add a form on that page where somebody can fill out that form, hit submit, and then the church can have a visitor packet ready and waiting for Sunday when that person shows up. So we can set up all these systems, both from a design perspective to be exactly what it needs to be, and also from a functionality perspective where it has all the features we would want to then create an experience that's just right for the brand.
That's right. Now, Michael, for the people listening to this, right? I can already see the person saying, "Well, I can add forms. I can do all these things with a Wix." So, is WordPress really that great? Like, what would your response be to something like that?
So in the past, I've come across where a client is, they're like, hey, can we do like 21 days of prayer? And every day, can we drop like a new like Devo that goes out to our people and like use the website to kind of drop that throughout the um, the week? And with other platform builders, there's a bunch of out there, Squarespace, Weebly, Wix, there's a bunch of them that's out there. Um, what I've found is that I might have to say no, like in the past.
Right.
And with WordPress, I don't have to say no. It's a yes. It's always a yes. Because WordPress is, I think it's 20, I don't know, 6% of the web right now is built on WordPress. So whatever you need, like WordPress can do it. So there's no limitations. I can say yes. And then it's just a matter of like, figuring out how to make that all work. So that's the main thing I like about WordPress is that it's limitless in the potential. So in the future, as we're trying to do ministry, like maybe like one of the churches I'm working with, they want to develop an online course that helps people in their city. So we can say yes to that. There's no limits. Like absolutely, we can create an online course. Another church that we're working with, they have a ministry to South America, and they wanted to create a resource for pastors to be able to go to the website and download like great resources for them to help them do ministry down in South America.
Mhm.
We can say yes to that. There is no
Right.
limit. So no matter what your church, what the vision of your church is, we can service that vision through the website. And we need to be able to do that because the website it's a tool. It's an employee that's working for your church 24 hours a day, 7 days a
Around the
week,
clock.
and it just needs to work and help you accomplish the vision that God has given you.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think for me, um, now I briefly want to touch on why people don't like tools like WordPress, or at least why I didn't like it, right? And I briefly mentioned that the reason why I didn't like WordPress when I started was because I didn't understand it. It didn't look friendly. When you log on and you see the interface, it's like, wait, what are all of this stuff? I don't understand this, right? But one of the tips or kind of things that I found out more recently is all of that can change, right? Uh, like WordPress is so flexible that There are even services where you can change the whole look of your dashboard essentially to make it more user friendly, right? And then when I found that out, I'm like, wow, this tool really is limitless, right? Because anything that I see on there, I can mold, I can change, I can alter it so it can fit what I want to do. So really, with WordPress, it is truly limitless. There's you can do anything and everything. Even right now in our company, we're actually creating this software and we're hosting that web application through WordPress, right? So in terms of scalability, in terms of growth, there's really no limit to how far you can expand it. Like Michael was saying, if you want to add a course, all you have to do is just add in an easy plugin, right? If you want to manage your content, if you want to manage your blogs, if you want to bring other teammates onto it, it is truly limitless, like you were saying, Michael. Now, my next question, Michael, would be for a church that wants to get started in WordPress, what would kind of be the best practices or the first steps for them to take?
Great question. I think just to kind of set up that answer, WordPress may not be for every church. Okay, let's kind of address that real quick. If you're just starting off and maybe you're a church plant or you have very, very little budget, and you don't have any technical background, you know what? Go with Wix. Like, go with Squarespace. That's okay. It'll get you going. And then eventually work towards a WordPress website, which has more features and like we're talking about. Like, I like it because of, where the potential where it can take you as a church, as a ministry. But listen, it's okay. You can use one of those easy startup website builders to get you going. And once the church is off and running, then you can get going with the next thing. What I recommend to get started with a WordPress-based website is to get an expert. Like, get somebody that knows what they're doing to help you set it up. Once you set it up right, that's when you can, as a church, you can have a volunteer take over and then keep on using it. The reason why I say is get an expert is that it takes a little bit of understanding with like hosting and all that stuff to make sure you get it all set up right. And then also, you just want the design and everything to be ready and able to represent your church really well, provide next steps, those type of things. So when you're ready for a WordPress website, you should be ready to level up the experience that people have with your church online. And I would recommend, like, hey, just get somebody that knows what they're doing to walk you through the setup and the design of that experience, instead of having like a volunteer that's, at your church, try to figure out something. A website is not an online brochure. It's a tool. It needs to be. In today's culture, in today's world, that's what it has to be. It has to be a tool to help you do ministry online, digital outreach. We've talked about that in the past. So I guess that's my simple answer. The first step, if you're going to get into a WordPress website and you don't know what you're doing whatsoever, just get somebody that knows what they're doing to get you set up, to get you started. You'll pay more upfront, but in the future, you'll get more guests coming to your church. You'll see more results of people giving and donating. Like, you'll see great results that'll make it well worth it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I would say is like, don't try to figure it out yourself, right? Like that's one of my biggest advice. Like, don't try to figure it out yourself. Like, even when there is no scripture that tells us in any aspect of faith or anything. It's like, yeah, figure it out yourself, right? Just no, don't talk to anybody. Figure it out yourself, right? That's so counterintuitive to what we believe, right? So, and the reason why I say this is because when you try to figure it out yourself, you're gonna go through so many trails, right? I was that person that tried to figure it out myself. So I've made years and years and years of mistakes. And I am a technical person, okay? I am a technical person that tried to figure it out himself. And I've made so many mistakes as it relates to building websites, designing websites, hosting, all of that. So the best thing that you can do is actually to identify somebody that can help you. Or even if you don't have the budget to hire somebody, get on a call with somebody and ask them for a consultation, right? And and that person could be myself, that person could be Michael. Reach out to somebody, right? Because what happens is whenever you reach out to an expert, they're going to lay it out for you. They're going to tell you your options, and they're going to set you up for a win, right? I know when I work with a client, I know especially when Michael works with the client, the goal is to set you up for a win. The goal is to set you up in a way that it's not just going to help you for maybe a year or so, but it's going to set you up for years to come. So my main advice in terms of building your a website and getting on WordPress is speak to somebody first. Don't fully try to DIY it yourself. Even if you're going on a platform like Wix or Webs or whoever, before you do that, get some help, talk to somebody so they can point you in the right direction.
Excellent. And just to recap, we were talking about WordPress. We're going to wrap up this episode. We also talked about Divi. Divi is an install you can put on top of WordPress. If, hopefully that makes sense. It makes it so it's a drag and drop editor so that ultimately a volunteer at your church can make updates. It makes it really simple. I have a website we just launched about a month ago, and there's a lady that's 67 years old that's making updates on the website, and she's able to do it. So it makes it really easy to have the power of WordPress, but then also to make those updates. Also, search engine optimization is a big deal. You just want to pay attention to that. Most of the people that come to our church down here in South Florida, Vibrant Church, they find us on Google, and then they go to our website, and then they come to our church. So you just need to be able to have the tools, the necessary tools to be able to be found on Google. And again, WordPress, Divi, that whole setup is going to be a great setup. If you need help with this, if you need help setting up a WordPress, your church that's just, you're just ready to go to that next level, be sure to reach out to us as a resource. Let me just ask this before we close it out. Dennis, any final thoughts that you have when it comes to a church website?
Yeah, my last and final thought is something that you've already said, but again, this is not just an online brochure, right? This is a resource, a tool for you not to just talk about your ministry, but it's actually a tool to do ministry.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of like the running theme of a lot of the things that we talked about. So whether it's social, photo, video, website, this is a ministry within itself, right? And when we view it as a ministry within itself, we know that we can't go at it alone. We know that we can't just DIY it, right? Because it's not smart, right? It's not the option. It's not the route that's going to get you what you're looking for, right? So that's my final thing is it's always about your approach to anything that you're doing, right? What's the why, right? If the why is you want to see more people win, saved, and sent, if that's your why, then again, you have to take this seriously, right? This is not something that I believe you should just scrape together. But I really believe that this is something that you should reach out to somebody, get some advice, get some help, get some direction on, and really get some guidance on the best step forward. And then your ministry will thank you for it, and your city will definitely thank you for it.
Yeah. You be the vision. You be the expert at the vision that God has given to you to do ministry, and then surround yourself with some good people that can help you with these other things. I love it.
That's right.
So I'd love to have you just join us on new episodes that are coming up. Our goal, the Church Brand Guide, is to help you to build a brand. Brand is just a way of thinking about your church where it helps you to cut through the noise and reach people where they are. A lot of it is by using tools like a website, having the right messaging, using the right graphics and visuals to make sure people understand you quickly, because what people understand quickly is what they'll buy into. And we want great people to come to your church and also buy into the vision that God has given you and support it. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast if you have not done that already. We would love for you to leave a review as well. If you want to leave some comments there, we'd love to get that from you. And that wraps it up for this episode. So we will see you on the next episode. Thanks for joining us.